Okay, here we are, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everything going, huh? It's Wednesday, March 4th. Good Lord, people. Things are going fast, huh? All right, let's continue with what I was talking about in my other video. Trump's an asshole. Oh, okay. That covers a whole lot of territory there. The thing that's bothering me is now he's in Ecuador. That hasn't put troops on the ground in either country yet, or in Venezuela. He's just flying sorties against the country and dropping missiles and drones and whatnot. So he's fighting a very impersonal war, basically, except for a few Americans that have been killed, 4 or 5. And by most war standards, that isn't even they don't even amount to much of any kind of statistic. And I know that's cruel, but his offenses in the Republicans' offenses in the Arab world cost us 3,000 people at the World Trade Center. So and that was just one little mission, one attack. Imagine if they were able to succeed and launch many, many, many more. The good thing about that is they're even as sophisticated as they don't have the delivery system capable of attacking our country, and that makes Trump sit back behind his big, plush, polished desk and go, "I deserve the Medal of Honor." For what? Huh? Being fat does not get you a Medal of Honor. Being stupid does not get you a Medal of Honor. Attacking countries while sitting behind a desk does not get you a Medal of Honor. Being a coward and avoiding the draft doesn't qualify you to get the Medal of Honor. Okay? So now what are you going to do, fats? Huh? Nobody wants to deal with you. If what they're saying is true, that Iran and the United States were within hours or a day or something like that of uh, negotiating a peace term, a treaty, a nuclear treaty, and he did this, then our word means nothing anymore. And our friends have to be careful because he can't be trusted, which means we can't be trusted. Okay? Because he's the one that's representing us because we got stupid and we don't care. This country's never been perfect. Never. And it never will be, probably. But it wasn't horrible either. Now it's you're imprisoning people into detention camps. You're attacking countries with no end in sight. It's no idea what you're doing afterwards. Let's go bomb the shit out of them and worry about it later. That's what's happening. That's to me that's not a real good thing. I don't know whether it is to you guys, but it's not to me. You know, uh, doesn't make any sense. But that's Donnie. That's the Republicans. Boy, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, uh, I do a lot of fishing, or I did a lot of fishing, and I did some competitive fishing and whatnot. And those people are real supportive of the United States. Well, they proclaim to be patriots, and they supported a lot of those people supported Trump. I wonder how they're feeling now. I mean, I don't want uh, what the newscasters say. I'd like to be able to talk to a couple of those people and see how they feel now. And some of the ones I've seen on the internet that are staunchly supporting Donald remind me of a friend of mine who one time I asked him, "Why are you a Republican?" My parents were a Republican. Well, my grandfather was a Republican. That's what I am. I'm a Republican. Why? What do they do? What's their program? And they couldn't answer that question. They're just blindly Republicans because their parents or somebody were Republican. Some of these people are supporting Trump because Trump is saying, let's make America great again. I didn't see it that it wasn't so ungreat before. I don't know that it was perfect. No. But unless you were a white supremacist or a black supremacist, if you're one of the extremes racially, it was a pretty good place to live. Right now, I don't live there. I haven't lived there in 18 years. And I pay close attention to what goes on there. I voted every chance I get. It's expensive for me to do that because it costs me a lot of money to. I have to inconvenience people to get to the where DHL is so I can send it in. And a couple of times they lost it, and my vote didn't count. So I wasted $50 there, whatever. And that doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you're living on Social Security, it's a lot of money. Okay. Uh, Especially right now with my wife being ill, and I have to go around and spend all kinds of money here and there. Know. Uh, but that's it. I'll be all right. And I'm. I got this. I should put a splint on this so I could just stand there like this when I talk about Donald Trump. Yeah, I severed some stuff in there, and it's taking a real long time to heal, and it's still very sore. So I got to keep pouring peroxide on it and making sure it stops. Try to get the bleeding to stop. It hasn't really stopped bleeding 100%. So, but that's nothing. That's like look at the situation now. Trump took out the leader of Venezuela. All right. There has been no, according to the people I've talked to who have relatives, there's a whole bunch of professional dog walkers in my area. They're all Venezuelan. They're all five of them from one family. They're all really nice people. They're all very successful at what they're doing. They're honest. They're dependable. They're great people. Uh, there's a bad apple every once in a while, but 99% of them are great people. And I asked him, "When are you going back now? Do you want to go back?" And he said, "No." He said, "We really can't go back because nothing's changed yet. It's still very dangerous for them to go back. That's why they left, because it was dangerous for them. So has the cocaine traffic stopped completely? No, it's got more expensive in the United States, but it hasn't stopped completely. And because they don't need as much anymore because there's more meth around and fentanyl and other drugs around now. You know, for the drug culture to survive. In the drug culture, what's the drug culture? Is that dirty, broken down kid on the corner sniffing his, go, oh man, I need to be high, or is it the executive in Wall Street sniffing coke off a $100,000 desk? You know, these people are all responsible for the cocaine problem. Marijuana isn't the problem. Marijuana leads to other things, but that's because it was assumed back then. All right, it doesn't anymore. It's not the first drug of choice by anybody that wants to go get high. There are people that just want to relax. They use it for glaucoma. They use it for a myriad of things. Some of them imaginary because it doesn't really do that. You know, but that's marijuana. Heroin's making a comeback. Heroin comes, for the most part, Chinese are in charge of heroin, and that doesn't come through our southern border. That comes through our northern border along down through Canada, New York State, and whatnot. So, we haven't stopped the drug traffic. And like I think it was it might have been Escobar or somebody like Escobar that said, "You want to stop the drug traffic? Tell the Americans they stop buying it. You know, to stop using it." That's that, and they tried that. Just say no. I don't think that actually ever worked because there's more to drug addiction and what have you than when they started. I think it was working for a little bit when they just said just say no, and then people came with crack. And the difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is that cocaine maybe you could do once or twice. You're not going to get addicted. Crack cocaine is so intense and everything that it usually addicts people one attempt. So uh, there's a lot of people. The average person doesn't know a lot about drugs. I don't know everything there is to know about drugs. I know what I know because people do stuff in front of me and talk around me, and I don't have any idea why they're doing it because I'm not part of anything. I'm just some dude sitting in the corner with his dog or something. And people just do things and talk about shit that they don't think I know anything about or that I'm afraid of. And I'm not. Trust me. Not at my age. They'd be doing me a favor, you know? So, anyhow, uh, that takes care of Venezuela. And then you have Ecuador. Ecuador is a problem, but the problem you have with Ecuador for me is that the FARC, the rebel forces that operated for many years inside Colombia and supposedly signed a peace agreement, the ones that didn't sign the peace agreement, the rebel organization, operates in and around Ecuador, all right, from Colombia. I'm not so sure the drugs are just a means to pay for their partying and whatnot. I mean, the problem I had this a long time ago when the first peace treaty went in and they turned these guys loose. They said, you're going to take people that have been living basically untouched, unharmed for 10 years, maybe some of them. And whenever they wanted something, they just took it or it was given to them by the people around them. They never worked a day in their lives at anything honest. And you throw them back into society. So it was no wonder that this organization restarted again. And the worst of the old FARC is the ones that joined that FARC. Okay, because they don't want to work. They know how easy it is to steal. They were the ones that want to rob and steal or whatever. And they control a huge section of an area of Colombia right near the Ecuadorian border. So, I don't know what's going to happen there because Petro doesn't like Trump at all, which is, a consensus you get from most people I talk to uh, down here. Like, again, the Venezuelans and the Cubans and not so much the Cubans, but the people from other countries that I run into down here have no use for Trump, especially the Canadians. And there's a lot of Canadians down here. So that takes, care of Ecuador, Venezuela, Ecuador, and now you have Iran. Iran is similar to Iraq and Afghanistan. When Bush went in there and everything, they had no plan as to what to do afterwards. They were assured victory by the military, but nobody had an idea that what they were going to do afterwards. They figured, well, okay, we'll just walk away. You can't just walk away. We do a lot of times, but you shouldn't just walk away because you left the country devastated. That's the American way, though. Okay, I'm tired. Hot. Wow, I got a fan going and it's still hot. And this isn't helping. I'm trying to lose this again. I lose it and I get it back, happens. And my back is a mess right now, so but you don't need to hear that. Anyhow, I'm gonna go do some stuff and it's early. It's only 11. What is it? 11:18. So I hope you like. I hope you guys like my videos. I hope you like the stuff, the bullshit I throw out there. Uh, but the fascinating thing about me is that I've said stuff all along, and some of it I said on video and whatnot, where I've said this is gonna happen. This is just like such and such a movie or something like that, or I think this is the direction we're going in, and this stuff happens, or a politician agrees with me, and I said it first, as far as I know, and yet I've never heard anybody, go along with that. I mean, maybe it's just my interpretation of the movies at the time was better than their interpretation of the movie, because I looked at it that it could happen. It made sense that it could happen. Uh, I knew as soon as that Bell Labs in New Jersey came up with that chip the learning chip that learned from its mistakes, that we were headed in the wrong direction. I mean it just that might be good for navigation, but it's not good for taking control. And that's what they're giving. They're giving the electronics and the technology more control over this planet than is good for the planet. You know, I wonder if they'll ever realize that when these machines think logically, and the logic conclusion is what the humans have come to this conclusion that we're the worst enemy, we're our own worst enemy, and we're the worst threat to the biggest threat to the planet. What happens when you know they remove this threat, us, and the machines are sitting around and realize that they are actually the greatest threat to this planet? I like to see what happens with that. You know. All right, listen up. Go find a subscribe button. Hit a subscribe button. Tell your friends. Hey, listen. You want to see something really stupid? You want to see an old fat white guy bullshitting? Subscribe to the channel, folks. I'm gonna go do some wood carving or something. I don't know. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.